It's another video from me, Jeff, from Oakbound Studio here. Hi, hello, nice to see you again. And what I haven't done here for a while is talk about stuff that is Oakbound related. We've done lots of looking at old Games Workshop stuff, and that's great because that's the stuff that inspired me to be doing what I am doing now, or at least part of the stuff that inspired me to be doing what I'm doing now. But you know, it's good once in a while to talk about some of the things that we're currently doing, which I guess some of you might have an interest in. Some of you won't. Some of you will only be here for their old Hammer content, and that's totally fine. But for those of you who are interested in what Oakbound are up to, there's some cool stuff happening at the moment. I'm going to be at Colours in Newbury this coming weekend, so if you're there, do drop by and say hello. It's always really nice to see people. And if you're somebody who's not met me in person before but has been watching this video, please do come and say hi. It's always great to put faces to names of people who are contacting and to know that people are actually watching this stuff. We've had quite a few new subscribers in recent months, which is really exciting. Yeah, come and introduce yourselves. I like to know who's watching. It's a bit of a weird thing always. People know my face from these videos, and sometimes when you watch somebody on a video, you kind of feel like you know the person, so it's easy to come and talk to them, which is exactly the reason for doing these videos in the first place. But it's a bit of a weird thing from my perspective because I obviously won't probably have seen or spoken to you. So yeah, it's nice to have that exchange. Do come and introduce yourself. The other thing that is going on currently is the Kickstarter for this chap. This is my my big giant. You may have seen photos of him previously. I posted pictures of him as I was sculpting him, and then when I painted him earlier this year. This is the Brian Froud giant. So this guy was taken from an illustration from a book, and he's now on Kickstarter. So that went live last Friday. I'm recording this in advance of it going live, so I don't know how it's doing, but I hope it will be doing well. So do check it out. The Kickstarter is called All the Giants Aren't Dead, which is an odd phrasing. Is it not? Yes, all the giants aren't dead. It's an odd phrasing. It should be like not all the giants are dead, or the giants aren't all dead, but not all the giants are dead is deliberate phrasing, because the book that this illustration is taken from is called Are All the Giants Dead? So I thought I'd flip it around and use that wording and that phrasing. So do check it out. I have wanted for a long time, it's been sort of part of my my ethos with Oakbound, to get artists who have inspired me to do artwork for the woods and for Factious Waste, in fact. So Tony Yates, for example, did a bunch of stuff for the woods, for Factious Waste. I was hoping to get Carl Critchlow to do some stuff for Factious Waste. I haven't managed it yet. Who knows, that may still happen. I managed Alan Lee's permission to use some stuff for the woods. I managed to get John Civic to do our cover art. Tony Huff has been doing some artwork, and I will talk more about that in a little while. So some good names have been contributing, and I really wanted to get Brian Froud involved because I love Brian Froud's work. It's along with Alan Lee, his artwork is the art that really got me into fantasy in the first place. His sort of earthy, trollish art really inspires me, and of course his work with Dark Crystal and Labyrinth is foundational to my love of puppetry and stage effects and things. And yeah, so I really wanted to get Brian Froud's permission to use some of his stuff, and I spoke to him actually at a festival a few years ago, and he seemed quite amenable. And then sort of at the same time, I was looking at the stuff that he'd done previously, and I came across this set of illustrations for this book, Are All the Giants Dead? And the rights for those images aren't with Brian Froud anymore, because they went with the publisher, and the publisher has now been subsumed into a bigger publishing group. So I contacted the publishing group and I said I'd really like to use a couple of these images in my books. I'd really like to make some miniatures based on them. How do we go about making that happen? And had a very helpful conversation with one of their sort of marketing people who did a lot of digging in the archives and said, yeah, we have the rights to them, we'll see what we can do. So we came up with an arrangement, an agreement that let me use the artwork and create this miniature from it. So this is all totally official, totally, licensed. The rights, I have the rights to this image, but that was all completely separate from Brian himself. So I did want to get Brian's permission to use his name in connection with the campaign. Unfortunately, he's a very hard guy to track down. I've tried his website; doesn't move ever. His social media has been dead for at least 15 years. No, not 15 years. There was a little flurry when the new Dark Crystal series came out, but apart from that, pretty much dead. The emails don't seem to be going through, or at least I've not had a response. I tried writing to him. I managed at one point to find his address and sent him a letter. No joy. So my last attempt to contact him was to find contact details for Toby Froud, his son, who does work with Guillermo del Toro and with Creature Shop. And I tried a few avenues to try and get in contact with him, and I've heard nothing back either. So unfortunately, I can't set it as the Brian Froud Giant, but I am making the link in the campaign that it is from artwork by Brian Froud. I feel like that's legitimate, and if he wants to get in touch with me and say, "Oi, stop! Don't use my name with this," that's fine. I will take it off if he gets in touch, or his representative gets in touch, because then at least we can talk about what might be done. But anyway, so that is live. He's currently available. This chunky resin giant here has been cast up by Curtis from Ramshackle Games, and he's lovely. He's a multi-part piece. There's the head and one arm. This arm is separate, and I think that wrist is separate as well. So it's two: arm, hand, head, and body are the parts, but the parts fit together quite easily, and it's resin, so it super glues together nice and quickly, and it's not so heavy that it's going to fall apart, because it is a big beast. He's 75mm tall, but if he were to stand up straight, he'd be easily 90, 100mm tall. So he's a big old chap. And be put him next to a Ratman, so you can sort of judge the scale there. Yeah, he's a big old giant, totally giant. None of this puny giants. So yeah, he's on Kickstarter. Do check him out. He's running till this weekend, and then that will be it. He may be in the shop afterwards. I don't know. It depends how we do and how many more castings I can get from Curtis afterwards. Anyway, great. So that's another thing that we've been doing at the moment. Now, I mentioned Tony Huff earlier. And Tony has been working hard on some concept art for me, or at least he was earlier in the year. He is in fact now working for some more art for me for something that's coming up next year, and I'll tell you more about that when that unfolds. But the current work I'm talking about is the work for the Oakbound Patreon. You may or may not know that we run a Patreon each year. It's an ongoing Patreon, but the project's run for a year. This is our second year of doing that, and we're doing a warband in a year. So last year we did a woods warband. We did a sort of druid themed woods warband. This year, by popular request, we're doing a wartime warband. I will have rules for using it in the woods. It will be appropriate, but it's a nice opportunity for me to do something slightly different for my sculpting to be used for something that's not Dark Age folklore fantasy, which is a nice refreshing change. Even though I love Dark Age folklore fantasy, it's nice to be doing something a bit different. And so every year we get a different concept artist. Once we've settled on the idea, we get a different concept artist who's appropriate to the theme to draw some nice pictures. And then I sculpt the warband, and then that gets moulded, and then I cast it. And all of the backers, everyone who's backed at £5 a month for the year, will get that warband, and it won't be available any other way. It's a sort of exclusive Patreon warband. So that's been quite popular this year. Excuse me while I sneeze. Oh dear, excuse me, something up the nose. There we go. So this year is a witch hunter and his retinue. So the story is that this witch hunter has been called to investigate a woman who's gone mad somewhere in Stirland, and it finds it's a medium, or somebody who professes to be a medium but who's actually absolutely a fake, but this time has legitimately really been possessed by something, and has been possessed by the spirit of a soldier whose body has been resurrected by a necromancer. That necromancer has been driven from his home, but this soldier's animated body has been trapped in the cellars of the castle, and the spirit is not going to let go of this medium who's managed to tap into him until he's reunited with his body, and the necromancer is killed so that his body can return to rest. So the merry band sets out this to the castle, and they find the skeleton that is the remains of this soldier. So the band is the witch hunter, and the crazed possessed medium, and the bones of this animated soldier, this skeleton, and a bunch of foresters with their dogs. And then along the way they come across a village which is burning a halfling, or preparing to burn a halfling, because of course halflings are not particularly popular in Stirland according to the law. I had to do a bit of reading on that because I'm not big really on official Warhammer fluff, but apparently halflings are not popular, and the witch hunter decided to liberate this halfling, but not before he'd been beaten and horribly disfigured. And then, because even though they didn't want him to be burnt, they still don't particularly like him, so they force him to carry all of their stuff around. So he's got a cart laden up with bits and pieces and a big sort of rucksack full of food and things, and he carries all of their baggage. So I've been sculpting these guys. I've got a few more to do. I've got some of the woodlanders to finish off, and then by the end of the month that should be going off for cast for moulding at least, and then I'll be casting a couple of months, and everyone should have it by Christmas, and then we'll decide on something else. So if you are interested, if that floats your boat at all, it's not too late to get involved. You may have to oversubscribe, or you may have to wait a bit beyond the end of the year in order to have accumulated the funds to get your warband. But do jump in now, patreon.co.uk or .com, one or the other, you'll know which it is. Search for Patreon Oakbound anyway, you'll find it. Then if you have joined before the end of the year, then in December we'll be voting on what next year's project should be, and I'll go away and think about that and come back in the new year with some ideas and a concept artist in mind. So that's something else that I've been getting on with for Oakbound. What else is happening? You may have seen the animals. So we had some wolves and a pig went into the shop this month or last month. Those were sculpted for us by Philip Hines, and the reason for that was that halfway through the last Kickstarter, which was the Hobgoblins, a bunch of people said, we need wolf riders for these guys. And I was like, yes, we do need wolf riders for these guys. So I commissioned some wolves. And then Matthew Street has been working on some artwork, which is hopefully going to form the cover of the next book, which will be coming out next year, which will also have those illustrations by Tony Huffin, and I'm not telling you any more about that just yet. Yeah, that has on the cover, as well as the number of models that we already have in our catalogue, has a goblin chief riding a pig, a Gloucester Old Spot pig. So I thought we needed to do that model as well. So once I've done these Patreon sculpts, my plan is to do those Wolf Riders and Pig Rider, and then they should be hopefully released some point early next year. I've also on the floor down here got a mould that's full of Coral Knights on foot. In fact, there's some stood on my table here. You know, you've seen again photos of these sculpts. These are Coral Knights on foot, and my plan is to convert the base forms of these to make some that are mounted as well. So hopefully Coral Knights that I've been promising for how long? 8 years, 9 years, something ridiculous like that. Yeah, they're hopefully coming next year. Don't hold me to that, but hopefully they'll be available next year. At least we're one step further towards getting those into production. The other thing, if you get our newsletter, the Acorn, and if you don't, go to oakbound.co.uk/news. You can sign up. It's totally free. First Friday of every month, you'll get an email with some news, some new releases, and some game content. It's usually something for the woods, but we've done Dreamstone bits and pieces. We've done Factious Ways bits and pieces in the past as well. And in the last Acorn, you may have seen that we are looking for people who are willing to be sort of reps for Oakbound. We've had a few takers, which is good. If you're interested, email me info@oakbound.co.uk, or you can just leave a comment here and I'll be in touch with you, or find me on Facebook, or however you prefer to make contact. Make contact somehow. And I'll be in touch with you. Basically, what we're looking for is people who are willing to run games in their local area, for people who are interested in playing, possibly to attend shows, but we're not expecting you to take stock and sell stuff just to run sort of participation games and things at your local clubs and shows, just to try and get people playing the game, really, because I can do only so much by myself. I'm limited to my geographic area and my time, so it'd be great if there were some enthusiastic people who wanted to go and help with that. If you do want to come to shows with us, that's fine as well. We can get you in, and you'll get a discount to use on the online store as a thank you for being willing to run participation games in your area. So yeah, if you're interested in being that's being a woodlander. If you're interested in being a woodlander, then get in touch with me. Would love to hear from you. On the subject of finding local players, we had for a while a player finder map on the Facebook group, which is the Woods Players Worldwide Circle. Woods Worldwide Players Circle, that way around. Woods Worldwide Players Circle. Easy to find on Facebook. So we had a map where you could have a look and find people who are in your area. Unfortunately, that company that was hosting that have made some changes to their policies, which means that we are no longer able to have that map visible. But I have found another map. The only problem is you can't add your details yourself. They have to be added centrally by the person who's hosting the map, which is me. So if you are interested in putting your location, not an exact location, just a general location. We're not going to be able to pin you down on Google Street View or target you for drone strikes or whatever. But your general location, a town or village, will be absolutely fine. And a means of contacting you, whether it's an email address or whether it's contact me through Facebook or whichever way you prefer to be contacted. Let me know some way. Again, info@oakbound.co.uk is the most secure way of doing that. But if you find the Player Finder map on Facebook, you can just leave a comment below there and I will add you to the map the next time I'm doing edits and updates on the maps, and then hopefully people will be able to see whereabouts you are and get in touch if they want to play some games, because you know it's hard to find sometimes people who are playing these little games. I know for a fact that there are about 500 people with the rulebook in their possession. That's the physical copy of the rulebook in their possession, more if you count the digital copy, but how many of those people are playing, you're never quite sure. It'd be good to get some more people actually playing the game, posting some content, getting involved, because I think it's a good game, and I think the people who play it, certainly the people who come to our games day every year, seem to think it's a good and an enjoyable game. So that's also something that we're doing at the moment to try and help encourage people to play, and I hope you like to get involved with it. So there you go, there's a little bit of what's happening in the inside world of Oakbound Studio at the moment. We have got some big plans for next year. Next year is going to be the 10th anniversary of Oakbound. It's not the 10th anniversary of the games, because we were doing something very different back 10 years ago. But Oakbound as an entity will have existed for 10 years next year, so we've got some special anniversary things planned for that, but I will tell you a bit more about that closer to the time. Good, well, I have rambled on for quite long enough, but hopefully you'll find something in there that's interesting. Nice to speak to you. I hope you'll come and see me at Colours in Newbury if you happen to be around next weekend. Do, as always, like this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications button, leave me a comment, it all helps. Go on Facebook, like Oakbound Studio, like the Woods Worldwide Players Circle, the Factious Waste Players Group. Join them if you haven't joined them already. Leave comments, post photos of your miniatures and your games. We love seeing that from different people. Head on to Instagram, like and comment stuff on Instagram. I'm not really twitting very much at the moment. I don't know if anyone's twitting or X very much at the moment. Never really understood it, but we have a profile, so you can follow us if you like. Just don't expect there to be very much on it. Yeah, all of your engagements and involvements are very much appreciated. All right, all the best. Take care, and I'll see you next week.